Even if you want to buy and you have the resources, Fisher Island Club has a rule. It is by invitation only. So 3 residents and the club members have to nominate you, have to speak up if you're worthy of being a Fisher Island resident. Those people have to know you at least for 5 years. And upon receipt of these invitations, the board of directors of the club decide, should you or should you not be a club member? When you get approval from the club, you can buy a place on Fisher Island. As I was traveling, I was creating little stories, and I realized that people are interested. What is private jet traveling? What is hopping around the world, on one jet with National Geographic? I'm happy. I'm very open. I want to share my experiences.
Today's guest is Nataly Stuart, publisher and chief editor of Socialite and Chic magazines. She is also a Fisher Island resident, ambassador, and real estate expert. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to take you back to the beginning, so your U.S. journey. Was it a dream, or is it still a dreamland for you?
In the beginning, it was a challenge land because it was my first job. So I came to the United States with the work visa. Unlike many immigrants, I actually traveled for a purpose. I got my bachelor in Europe, and I was offered the first job as a business developer at the Hercules Engine Company. So young, ambitious, traveled across the ocean to take over the world, and then the reality hit.
Were you afraid in the beginning?
I felt like I was jumping off the cliff. It's towards unknown. I had nobody, like zero connection, zero friends. Nobody. So all I had is my ticket, my little luggage at that time, and determination that I can't fail.
So that thing is pulling you forward, determination.
Yes, at that time when they were looking for a head person to lead the department, I think I was competing against like 100 men, and there were a couple of women, including myself. And I said to myself, no, it's me. They have to choose me. I can deliver. So when it did happen, obviously I couldn't fail. So the expectation from the company was that within 1 year, I should reduce the cost of the engine by 15%. I stayed at work, I worked, and again, you don't have a family, you don't really have many friends.
Focused on work solely.
So work was my best place, my safety place. In 1 year, I reduced the cost by 35%.
Way exceeding the expectations.
Far more. They didn't even think it would happen. And that's it. And then I realized, in America, if you stay focused and if you work, you become visible and you can succeed.
But you had a picture how your life is going to look in the future. You had that pulling you forward, or no? Like, can you imagine something? You were just going day by day and see how it's going to work out.
In the beginning, it was day by day, because there was, I had to learn a lot. You just swimming in the open waters and without guidance, like we were just talking about, when you have to do everything from level 1, then you make mistakes, you learn from them, you create new expectations, you get there, then you level up. And it just doesn't stop, and that's a beautiful thing. When you feel like there is no ceiling, that's what I loved about working and living in the United States. Once you hit that spot where your brain can take you far, it supersedes, beauty. because sometimes I had to fight that factor too.
What do you mean by that?
In the man's world, there is a perception if the woman is pretty, sometimes she's not intelligent enough. The blonde misconception.
But also, you have to think from the standpoint that, like, a lot of you think, oh, God didn't give us everything. So if you're beauty, imagine if you're intelligent. Also, what are the odds of that? You can't have it all. So maybe they're going from that standpoint. They don't expect you to. If you're beautiful, probably not that smart. So it's not. I don't justify them, but they're trying to just trying to see how they think. And especially, women are especially getting more and more into industries that were never before, which is good. And that's why it takes a while until actually guys recognize you. And you probably show them in the beginning immediately.
I was the icebreaker.
Yes.
Because to me, I had to prove, I had not just to prove, I had to prove even more than others. First of all, I wasn't a man working in the engine company. Coming from Eastern Europe, with the blonde hair, there were many factors that I had just to cut through.
So that's it. What's besides that, what was the biggest obstacle, something you're facing in every day-to-day life?
Nowadays?
No, at that time.
At that time, that I was foreign. I remember the first year was very complicated because I immediately got a very good position at the company. So I had to prove why I got it. And there was more, I was more like under magnifying lens, than anybody else. And that was a challenge, But it was a challenge back then. Then I realized it was actually so rewarding. When somebody pays so much attention to you, you become tough on yourself, and you just, you don't slack off.
Yeah, you the challenge, you become better. It is sometimes you pressure is like, oh my God, it's too much for me to handle, but you grow as a person. You make it grow, you make it or break it. You're trying, you're working on it. And how long it took you to figure out, was that, I don't want to do this for too long, I want to switch to something else?
Well, after career at the engine company, a very masculine world, but very rewarding, you toughen up and you move on. I decided to proceed with the finance. So I got into the MBA school, got my MBA in finance, and proceeded with my career in the banking industry, which was quite successful. And at some point of time, I was able to choose what I want to do. And that's where the creative world kicked in for about 12 years.
It's amazing. But also, when you grow up in certain areas, like two of us, I don't think people think about happiness and what would you like to do. I never got asked that question. It was like, oh, you got to do this, go to school for this, so you can make some money and have a decent living. It's like, oh, is this going to make you happy? I don't think I ever heard that. Them coming here and there's so many options, and you're like, oh, actually, let me see what I actually like. And then you start asking questions. But also, it's another problem that you have so many options here. Here, you don't have limitations on a lot of stuff. So you're like, okay, what do I pick now? So a lot of people get lost in between, like, okay, I don't want a regular job. I want to do something that makes me happy, but that doesn't pay. And then if it doesn't pay, then I can't have a living that I want. And if you live in an expensive city, that it's kind of difficult. So then some people sacrifice happiness for financial reasons. So it's getting those two together. I think it's amazing. I think you did that, right?
I believe yes, I believe I got there. I must say, if somebody is feeling lost, there are many resources to put yourself back on the right track. I read a lot. I continue reading a lot. There is not a single day, like I don't read. I read multiple books a day. It's just, I just don't stop. Networking. Put yourself among the people who think alike. Positive people. That's another wonderful thing. If you are among the people who just complain, gossip, give you the same information they gave you 5 years ago, you don't belong there.
If you want to grow.
If you want to grow, exactly. Because if you want to stay where you are, that's
it's
fine.
a perfect survival.
Right. It's that safety zone. But if you want to grow, you have to engage different resources, put yourself in a different position. Like I said, there is a way out. Yes, it gets confusing. Everything changes, including us. I look at myself back then, even 10 years ago, I'm a different person. And I'm happy for that, because every time it just gets better. It's just, it's up to you what other building block you can add to your beautiful life. And that's how I look at it.
It's amazing. I mean, constant work. Even if you succeed, if you make it to the top, you always, even if you don't stay on the top, you got to work constantly. And that's why not a lot of people do it, because it's difficult.
And I wonder why,
It's a fair question. Some people have an excuse. I don't like excuses, but we always end up finding one for everything you're failing. But you just this. Yeah, some people actually have a good excuse, but that's like minority. Most people are just. It's nice. I mean, you get up in the morning, you're like, oh, should I go study something for 4 hours in the office somewhere at the desk, or should I go to the beach? It's kind of convenient to go to the beach. I have a couple of drinks, and then it's fine. Then you make a decent amount of money. And then a couple of years later, you wake up, I'm in the same spot. I'm just hanging out. And they're like, oh, what did I do? And time flies like that. So, I think in U.S., as far as I see, you got to sacrifice in the beginning the most.
100%. Yes.
And when you're younger, it's easier to sacrifice. Later on in life, it's more difficult. So you just got to sacrifice in the beginning so you can reap the rewards later. But definitely that happiness part and the networking that you said, the people you surround yourself with, it's difficult, especially when you get older. It's difficult meeting new friends. Maybe not for everyone, but it's more difficult to find people who resonate.
I agree. But you know what? You can also engage yourself in trainings. You can engage yourself in, that's what I do right now. I pick exclusive traveling. And you put yourself immediately among the people who think alike, who had incredible experiences, who are wonderful storytelling people. And you understand there is so much more to learn. There is so much room for fine-tuning, and it just doesn't stop. And going back to what you just said about luck, about work, I always said, the more I work, the luckier I get.
That's true. Yeah,
that's my principle in life. Everything I have today, it just didn't come to me. No, I'm not one of those people who get lucky, win a lottery, I don't know, marry rich. No, whatever you have, you worked for it. And that's why there's a huge appreciation for what you have. And if it's something doesn't belong to you and it leaves your path, it's also okay. I always say thank you. I had it. I had experience. You were my teacher. Bye-bye.
Best of luck.
Best of luck. So life is amazing. It brings you people. It takes these people away for whatever reason. But it's up to you to digest, what did I get out of it? But again, to me, it's pure work. The work and discipline. Discipline helps a lot, because sometimes work can be tough work. And that's the most, I call that money, the most difficult money, when it's just labor. It's just labor. That dollar is so hard earned. And those people sometimes, unfortunately, don't get to the level where they can earn more, because that other dollar is much lighter. Because you're already using your skills, you're using your brain. That dollar is not that hard anymore. The hardest labor is really...
If you're using your back, it doesn't pay that much. It hits certain limit.
And it's the hardest yes. labor. I always think maybe they should be paid more, because that is labor. But it's the opposite.
Yeah, if you got to start using your brain, you got to hone your skills, you got to get better at certain things. You got to make yourself... Other people need you. So if you, let's say, you have great skills in something, people call you. They need advice. They need something. That's someone. If you can always find someone with physical labor, but someone like with extra skills. Let's say like all the motivators, speakers, and someone like people empowering some others' lives, or doctors, or someone. They're actually worked so many years to get to that level, and now they can offer some advice. Who's the person you looked up to and you still read their books and someone that actually motivates you?
You will be surprised. The person who I looked up to was my father. He was not too present in my life because he was a very busy person. He was a diplomat, and that's why I traveled a lot.
But that's the traveling part. It started out.
Yes. My whole life I traveled. I changed places. I lived in so many different parts of the world. I lived in Asia. I lived in Africa, Europe. So it was just the constant change. But the ability to adapt was the most useful skill that I got, because to me now it doesn't matter where to live. Of course, I love our Miami. Miami is so dear to me. To me, it's the best city, the best place to be. At the same time, if circumstances changed and I had to go somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in Africa, let's say Cape Town, I'd move. That's quite all right. I just have to know for what purpose. Why am I doing it? Why do I have to adapt there? And if I have a good purpose, I don't mind.
It's not the place. It's you. I always say, you can't run away from yourself. Whatever you go, you take yourself with you. So your problems, whatever you had, you might escape for like 2 weeks, but yours is coming up. So it's catching up. Whatever problems you had, they're coming with you. You can't just like, oh, let me just move up to another city. Miami is an amazing city, but a lot of people, it's not. They come here to fail and they just go away. So it's not everything's for you. You gotta fix yourself. In Miami, we mentioned it. What do you think makes Miami so special?
Well, I speak for myself, obviously. I like Miami that none of us here feel as an immigrant, because all of us come here from so many different parts of the world. And if you speak with the accent, and if you speak in some broken English, everybody still accepts you, embraces you, because that's what Miami is all about. It's about people who come here to make it. And we are like so raw right here, like take me as I am, and I love that concept that we don't have that that immigration per se.
Yeah, you don't feel it.
Why did you come here?
It's normal to be an immigrant in Miami.
It's totally normal. So that made me appreciate Miami. That's number one. Number two, positive people. I find that in Miami, there are more positive people than anywhere else. And I travel a lot. And I open up to people a lot. So they behave naturally with me, without pretense. Miami has more happy people. And I hope it stays that way because, things do change. But right now, I still believe we have a happy place. I also believe Miami is growing. It's growing so fast right now. We have more intellectual people people who want to bring changes, positive changes. So we have so much ahead of us here. So many startups, financial districts, corporations are moving. So it's just a fantastic, place to continue living and building up more. And the weather, you can't go wrong with the weather. You wake up, there's the sun shining, the birds are singing, the ocean. It's a positive energy, 100%. And look at the healthy living in Miami. Anywhere you go, you have a chance to exercise, to eat right, buy cute sportsy wear,
And people kind of trying to also look good because a lot of people looking good, and it makes you think you can't be like...
You have to look good too.
And you light on clothes, most people, so you see like, okay, I can't be not looking that good.
Pulls you up there,
Somewhere else, if it's cold weather, you can always cover up and no one's going to see anything, and then it's easier. You don't have to do it. And it's kind of snowing, weather is bad here. You don't even check the forecast. You just, you live here, let me go outside. It's the same outfit most of the time.
And
it's lighter.
I love it, and that's Miami. Every time you travel and you have a good time, But the minute you get back to Miami, you say, "Oh, I'm paying."
Yeah, it does. Rarely, I remember growing up, we go on vacation. So, we grew up inland. So you have to go to like Adriatic Sea or somewhere. You go on vacation for 7, 10 days. You're super excited. You go there, you come home, you're always miserable. When you come back home, but right now, I go traveling somewhere and I come back to Miami. I'm like, oh, this is not that bad. I always come and I'm happy that I'm here. Nice weather, beach is there. Even when the first time I went to Puerto Rico, I was like, okay, you go to Puerto Rico. It's amazing. It's great. You go there. I'm like, it's more of the same. I don't even. I feel like I just changed. Nothing. The weather is the same. Beach, the hotels. It was cool that I'm not at the same spot. But I was like, oh, I'm not that excited. I came back here. Oh, it's great. I can always go to the beach. You don't have to. You don't have to go to vacation if you don't want to.
Perfect. Miami is perfect. It's the capital of the United States. In my world.
Yeah, I think for me, when I see it's capital of South America, it is just like, but also capital of the world. You're getting a lot of people from everywhere.
Yeah,
It's just
melting pot, that's how they call Miami, and look at the arts, we bring so much culture right now. We have everything. We have a theater, or we have a ballet, or we have museums, we have exhibitions, it's just, it doesn't stop. There's always something.
It's evolving a lot, so that's great. Also, so let's go back to you said you were in finance, and what did you do after the finance?
So after the finance, I realized the corporate world was not for me, even though, again, it was a new challenge. I loved it. I moved up the ladder really fast, learned a lot. But then I said, okay, time for myself. I've done it for others. They appreciate it, but maybe not as much as I wanted.
What was the moment of realization? It's like, okay, this is not for me. I have to change.
The hours, it's the hours, and it's an inability to schedule your time. You are almost like enslaved, and especially when you work very good and you become.
They need you more.
Yes, the more you work, the more they need you, and I realized, and I didn't mind for some period of time. Well, because you see grow really fast, it definitely gives you a benefit of that, but you realize that your life is becoming work, just work. And at some point of time, when I satisfied my, I should say, from some financial backgrounds, I said to myself, I have to find something else, because I can't have 2-3 weeks on vacation a year, this is, and then you have to, so many people, make it such a big deal, when you can take it, when you cannot take it, because you're irreplaceable, you.
And they still maybe probably somehow call you when you go on vacation. Can you just disappear?
So it became a challenge to me, that corporate world is interesting world, you learn a lot, you can earn a lot of money, but you don't belong to yourself.
How did you plan your, let's say, call it escape from that? How did you say, okay, I'm not going to just wake up tomorrow, I'm not going to work anymore? I assume that was not the thing.
No, the financial stability. You cannot escape anything in life unless you are financially secure, especially for women. Because, I think we are more sensitive to changes, and I recommend each and every girl, lady, woman, first of all, think about the financial safety, the safety net, and after that, you can build on your dreams. But certain things have to be covered before you proceed with your dreams.
What do you think most women fail in doing things they like and to be successful, whatever is success to them, or having family, or become financially independent, or succeeding in the United States in general?
Why they fail? To me, again, it's my opinion. Maybe some women will disagree. To me, some women fail because they think that the man will be their financial safety net. And they rely on them so much without growing themselves. So once somebody realizes, you cannot rely on the other person, that changes the whole perspective. Somebody who is very interesting and self-fulfilled would love to meet an equal partner. Bringing somebody up is difficult. Unless you always, like that person will keep you at that place. He will always remind you where you were found. And that's where struggle begins. And that's why I think many relationships fail. Because some women, again, rely that everything will be solved if I meet the right man.
To take care of my financial needs.
Everything. It doesn't happen. And it's not right.
It's not right. It's not never good to rely on someone too much. They then control you, point. It doesn't matter both emotionally or financially. I think you have to be relying on yourself and then kind of come as an addition to another person to fulfill whatever you're missing. Not in that sense, just there are other ways to get fulfilled, having someone next to you. So also, there might be a problem also that if you're financially, like today, a lot of women and guys are financially independent, they don't depend on each other. So they kind of, okay, if it doesn't work, it's going to go away. I'm assuming back in the day, people are more dependent.
It's sad.
It's either or. It's difficult to make it
They treat each other disposable, and it's terrible. I think the most interesting things happen when people actually grow in together. Yes, you can be independent. Yes, you can be, you can still conquer the world together. But don't treat each other as disposable. It's very sad. And I think partially maybe the downfall of that is those dating apps. It's everybody thinks, well, maybe the next person's going to be better, or maybe next week somebody else is going to be better, and it's like a rat race. They don't stop, and it's a shame. And after that, it's so wasteful of time, your resources, everything. So I'm not a big fan of that.
They're trying to keep up with the modern things and things happening in life, and especially you're, say, on Instagram, whatever, even social media apps, you're seeing things like amazing stuff, and you're not satisfied with what you have next to you. You're maybe with a beautiful person next to you, but your Instagram, or somewhere there, like probably 100 people, they're also beautiful. It doesn't matter, women, guys. It's just there's so many, and then you're like, you can't be focusing. That's kind of losing your focus because you're not focusing the person next to you, just scrolling or doing something.
You're looking at the covers, and the covers can be very pretty, but the content is very different. So I always say, especially to women, because I'm a woman, grow internally, because you can always become whatever you want, only if you grow from inside. Just don't stop that growth. And when times are hard, that's especially important, because that's when things are changing. That's how every time it was so difficult. Every time I thought, well, this cannot be happening to me. How can I survive? You know what? Looking back, I knew that was actually level up. That was so hard just to test me. Can I get to another level? And it worked always that way.
That moment, it looks so difficult, but when you go through it, then later on, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Now I know this because of the next situation. But that's how you're right. You got to level up. You got to get tougher. You got to get readier more for life and stuff. So tell me when you're trying to focus on yourself. You're trying to do whatever you want to do. What's the next thing you did? You said.
So the next thing, yes. So that was my 12 years of, I would say, the creative part of me. I put aside the financial world and I embraced the publications. I decided that in Miami, I needed to bring more culture, bring more intellectual feed. And I had become editor-in-chief of Socialite magazine, where I would expose Miami audience to the new, upcoming, interesting things that was maybe, on the tip of somebody's fingers, but yet not spoken, So I would always look for something new, something upcoming, startups, and I would bring it up to people. I would write about it. I would do events about it. I would do like networking, network, exactly, So the boat shows, I would write about just, the boaters. I would write about developers, the fashion in Miami, the art. And it just never stopped for me. Then there was another publication, Chic, where I became a publisher. That was another exciting project for me. I got such huge support from the local Bremen, Rolls-Royce, and oh gosh, Fisher Island, where I live, Fisher Island Developments. They were all supporting us, and we were advertising the products in such a way that it was from the story point of view. It was not just, a picture. We would always say why you need it, or do you need it? So we always try to use a very soft way to reach our intellectual audience. I just loved how it would flow without imposing you, to buy something, to attend something. And later on in life, that's exactly how I realized people have to live. When somebody pushes something on you, you have to do it. You have to pursue it very hard. If it's not coming your way, maybe think twice. Why is it not coming your way? Maybe it doesn't belong to you. Because when something does belong and you work towards it, it settles in a different manner. But if you keep opening the door and it's not opening, and you keep persisting and it's still not opening, but that maybe not the right door, you look elsewhere. And that's the biggest motivation I can tell people. When you choose something that you like to do in life, make sure it's not just sweat and blood. There has to be that satisfactory level.
Yeah, the sweet spot that you're like, okay, maybe this is.
I can do it. It gives me satisfaction. It may be very hard, and in the beginning, everything very hard. Just no shortcut for success. Just no shortcut. And the more years I was in business, the luckier I got, and people just thought, oh, where did she get that from? And they don't know the endless nights, when you put something together.
I see a lot of amazing brands. How do you come to get in touch with all the brands? How do you sell your magazine? How do you actually make them?
I have to tell you, most of them come to you.
They come to you.
Once they already know you, and they know what you're capable of, and they know your story, the brands come to you, and that's another level of satisfaction. You don't have to ask anybody. You just work. How can we work together? I am not trying for somebody to buy a product from me. Let's hear each other, what you need and what I need, and we make this wonderful relationship. Some of the vendors who I don't even work now, we're still friends. And I build my wonderful relationship with everybody I touched. And I even wish happy birthdays to them. I don't know, I invite the children sometimes to some events. So that's the extent of liking what you do. You just don't stop. It just doesn't stop on the paid advertising. It carries over the years, the relationship you build with people behind.
It's amazing. You have amazing brands here. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Just staying in touch with everyone, trying to actually, they recognize that you're doing something amazing. That has to say something really good about you.
Again, hard work pays off. When I started a while ago, I had to retire a few clients. That's another difficult decision you have to make. If you want to level up, and if you want to get a different audience, you have to look what things you can let go. So it was a hard decision because those other smaller companies are paying companies. But you understand that if you don't retire them, you cannot get somebody with a much bigger name, bigger audience, and actually bigger vision of yourself. And that's just like in real life. If you want something more positive, bigger for yourself, you have to let go of bad habits, bad people around you. Stop feeling pity for yourself. Nobody cares. And that what gets you to a different spot, you know.
Yeah, but it's rewarding. I like the transition that there's no skipping steps. You
No.
come here, you work hard, you figure your way out, then you switch. Okay, I have to get a great paying job, finances. Then, okay, at this point, as you said, I'm going to repeat it, level up. Then you're like, okay, now I do things that I want to do, something that's going to fulfill me. Then you find some. So there's steps. There's no like, oh, I'm here, let me do whatever makes me happy, and that's going to be the end of the story. It doesn't work like that. Life is way more complicated than that. So what are your, you said you live in Fisher Island, right?
Yes.
Let's talk more about that.
17 years and counting. My paradise place.
Paradise.
Paradise. The best place in the entire world. I am the ambassador to the island, I have to say, you know.
Your dad was a diplomat, now you're ambassador.
I'm ambassador. I will speak so highly about the island, you know, just no doubt. I have a soft spot for that.
Well, it's probably amazing. And actually, I think I was there maybe a long time ago. You just kind of, I like it. I mean, you like it more because you live there. It's kind of right there, and it's separated. You have to take a ferry to get to the island.
And I love it. You know, that ferry, as I was traveling today to your studio, you take a ferry, and it's almost your time. It's your time, those 10 minutes. You can catch your thought. You can look at your emails, you know, answer some emails. You can do touch up on your makeup, you know. So it's your time. It's a downtime because there is no escape. You have to stay in the car. And I use that time, again, to digest. What is my day? What do I need to do? I use it to my advantage. So 10 minutes that many people get scared of and say, oh, how do you handle it? I actually see advantage. That's my time. Before I get to the mainland, I know what I'm doing. I have a path. I have a mental path. What's going to be my next thing? And living on the island, it gives you such an interesting perspective. The island is very quiet and self-sustainable. We have everything there. We don't even have to get out. But we see the mainland, you know, with all these big lights and big buildings and happenings. But the minute you step on the island, it's like a tranquil place. Tranquility to the best. You can catch your thoughts, you can catch your breath, you can probably, that's the way I feel, you look at yourself, who I am, not as one person among the 6 million people in Miami, you know. You come to a quiet place and you digest, this is who I am. But you can only feel your energy when you're a little further from the masses of energy.
Yeah, you got to separate yourself. And it's good to be in that surrounding, especially for you, networking and imagining that if you're surrounded with super successful people.
Legendary people.
That's even better word.
Legendary, yes.
Describe it. So I guess that's also helps your life to understand you more.
100%. And it actually motivates as well because I have to say, on Fisher Island, we don't have many celebrities, you know, like celebrities as far as the music or movies. We have business people, successful business people, owners, CEOs, you name it. And that's a different breed. That's a different breed of people. And many of them are self-made. Yes, there is old money. But when you meet a self-made business person, there is always such an intrigue because that person, most of the time, is very humble. They don't flash. They don't throw names or throw numbers or zeros. It's a different breed of people. And the more I spend time with them, the more I understand that that's what's important. They're very kind in thoughts. They're not putting anybody down that you didn't make it, you didn't succeed, you didn't take an opportunity.
Classical stereotypes, they're not there for sure. So we know it's a private island. Can anyone purchase a property there, or what's the procedure?
So after the pandemic, I had to seize an opportunity in real estate. 12 years of promoting the biggest developers and big brokerage companies. Here comes the pandemic. The magazine, had such a difficult time with distribution. Everybody was so scared to touch it, whatnot. And I am seeing a huge trend in real estate purchases. And here I am on the island. I know each and every condo. I know residents. I know everything about the island, and I think to myself, it's just the right timing for me. It's just like a stock market at the beginning. You have to get in. So I did the real estate course. I immediately built the team and started working on Fisher Island real estate. The phone would not stop ringing. The first 3 years of my career, I think it was a dream. And somebody else told me, Nataly, you just caught the curve. Thank you. Thank you. But you have to realize that. Some people who came later into real estate, it was different. But in 2020, what a madness. Everyone wanted to move to Miami. So many well-off people wanted to move to Fisher Island. The phone was ringing. I was working. I don't even remember anything else. And I loved it because for 12 years, you do it for somebody else, creating promotions, creating events, pushing the product. And here I am on my own time, selling Fisher Island real estate, the one that I know. I know when the construction was taking place or renovations at certain units. I know everything. If there was a dog or a cat, if people leave there full-time or part-time. So it was such a natural skin for me. It was totally me. So I embraced it to the extent that, yes, I was lucky to catch that wave. I did quite well. I still do real estate. But this year, I decided to reward myself for all the hard work, for all the years I put in. Alexander, I decided to travel. This year is all about taking time for my private clients, of course, for the real estate, but the rest of the time, travel. Travel, enjoy it with the people who are dear to you. And that's another level of growth too, because the more I travel, the more I learn about myself, how I handle myself in certain countries, how do I handle unexpected situations. We went on a hike in Patagonia. Oh my God, I didn't expect that it's so severe. And the bones of big animals were all over the hiking trail. I can't even express the feeling that you have. It's not like hiking anywhere.
You never expect to see something like that. Then when you end up seeing that, you're shocked. How many things in this world we are missing out?
We are missing out, and you challenge yourself, and you just, you go to glacier, you walk the path, you just you learn the world. It's a small planet, but there's so many corners of it that we don't even understand what's happening there. So for me to understand people more, I travel. And the more I travel, I understand myself. So that's why this year is a very special year for me. This month, in 1 week.
So you're already in June.
Yes, I am going to North Pole. On an icebreaker, yes, with National Geographic. So that's another...
It's amazing.
That's another little challenge. So we did the private jet.
North Pole is not a little challenge.
But we will be going through the soft ice. Nothing crazy. But at the same time, it's very exclusive, very private.
You're going to go on a boat with icebreaker? And then you're going to maybe go hiking outside?
Yes.
So you're going to go to where the North Pole, where they post a flag?
Well, probably not. Not that far. They're not going to take it to that extreme. But we will be moving towards it,
Well, that's something just going all the way north. That's like, I can imagine how that looks like. So
Stay tuned, you know.
we'll see. You gotta keep us posted with the pictures and stuff. What's happening? I mean, that's great. It's rewarding. So in the end, traveling, traveling is always great, but it's rewarding when you're reach a certain level that you can actually enjoy to the fullest. You can do all the amazing things.
But that's exactly what drives you there. You understand that the more successful you get, you will be rewarded. And the best reward for me is my free time. Because if I don't have my free time, I don't belong to myself. So how else can you reward yourself? So that's the path that I see. If I have free time, I rewarded myself. I deserved it. I did something right.
And that's how you motivate yourself to keep on working still. It's not, people think it's a point, you want to reach a certain point where you are, okay, I don't want to work anymore. That's nice. But if you work a little bit, then you cannot work. I always assume even when
is it possible,
I mean, I think it's just, you have to manage those two later on. I think more older you get, you should work less and enjoy more. But it still has to involve some kind of work. You can't just not be working, which is also good if some people know how to handle that. But I don't think we're ready to handle not working at all. So that's good for rewarding yourself, traveling or whatever floats your boat, as they say. But that's great. So I mean, what's the plan for the future? Besides the traveling, do you have anything else in mind?
Yes, of course, I definitely, for myself and for everybody else, definitely invest in real estate, that's how you can afford many things in life, because investments work for you, in the beginning you work for the investment because you need that money to buy it, but then it becomes your money cow, that's it.
Same came with passive income, so you can get some money. Absolutely. While you go traveling, money still coming in.
And it all, as far as me, because I'm a strong believer in real estate, that passive income from real estate is just incredible. You can always sell it if you're not happy, but you can do other great things with it. So my future plans, continue being happy, continue enjoying healthy lifestyle. I'm a very strong promoter for that. Maybe in the next podcast, I will tell you about our startup in fights of, we're trying to fight the diabetes and sugar consumption. There is a lot of studies we're doing right now. I want to motivate younger generation to be cautious of their sugar consumption. But that's something I will keep for the future.
That's amazing. You're trying to give back, and it's not all about it's nice to focus on yourself and job, but you're actually thinking about giving back and helping people with their health.
Always.
That's fulfilling a lot.
Actually, you just said something very meaningful, that when you get rewarded with a certain level of success, it feels so good to give back. It's almost like, when you give a gift for Christmas or for other holidays, you give a gift and you actually feel happier giving it versus receiving it. That satisfaction level is just incredible. So when we can give, especially to younger generation, certain things, a piece of advice, and there is a saying that I embraced from Asia. When I lived in Asia, they say, the softer the snow, the deeper it gets. So the softer your advice, the deeper it settles. And I absolutely agree with it. Because again, if somebody's pushing something on you, you may be resistant. No, you don't want to hear it. Why are they brainwashing me? Your advice has to be so soft, so delicate. And how the Asians say, the deeper it settles. So I propagate that. Future, I hope the best for my children. I'm in a lovely, strong relationship that I also built in such a beautiful partnership. When you have a partner who understands you and you continue to grow together, even though you think you reached a lot, but together you can do apparently a lot more, and that brings such a satisfaction. I want to continue my work in Miami. Miami, to me, is a very dear city. I want to continue my sharing in exclusive experiences with people, because if that can a little bit motivate them, that means I did something right. It's great to have mentors or somebody who can motivate you. As you know, and you've been there, like I've been there too, sometimes motivation is hard to be found. But you have to find it among the people who are more tangible, not superficial.
Some of that resonates with you. You can't just, not general advice doesn't work for everyone.
No, it does not. It does not. And there is sometimes, people say such things that you know that maybe it's a good PR agency wrote for them, like a nice script to say how they succeeded. It doesn't work. So that's why I love learning from real people. And going back to Fisher Island, those legendary people who live there, you hear their stories from zero. Hard work, education, some dropouts, nothing wrong with that. They just, okay, they were less than 1% of those incredible people who realize they know it all. You just self-build yourself.
I was going to ask you, so people can understand, they don't know about Fisher Island. How many people live on the island, and how little they change? How many little people change? Probably if you're there, you don't move out, you don't sell up, you don't just buy and sell your apartments. You're there for a while.
Well, the island had changed a lot since pandemic, I must say. So when I moved there, it was, how can I say, it was a smaller community. We kind of knew each other. On day-to-day basis, you would have around 200 people, even though like right now there's over 1,000 condos. But since Fisher Island is not a primary residence for many people, it's just, you see people, come and go, vacationing, the children come, friends and relatives. But I would say 300 on average is about the right number of people.
That's a small community.
That's a small, even if you don't know the person, you know the face. So when we see a new face, you always say, who's this?
That's really narrow. My building, I'm not living in a big building. I think there's 300 people in the one building. So that's really small. So how many apartments?
It's about 1,000.
How many apartments do you, or in general, how many apartments get sold year to year?
That varies, like the market right now had changed. So we look at the quarter, sometimes it's really sad to look at the month sales, sometimes nothing happens. And plus, sometimes it stays a while in escrow, So I would say 10 to 15 a quarter. And in the high season, in a low season, it could be far less.
Can anyone,
maybe like 3, 5.
Anyone buy an apartment there?
Okay, that's very interesting. Even if you want to buy and you have the resources, Fisher Island Club has a rule. It is by invitation only. So 3 residents and the club members have to nominate you, have to speak up if you're worthy of being a Fisher Island resident. Those people have to know you at least for 5 years. And upon receipt of these invitations, the board of directors of the club decide, should you or should you not be a club member? When you get approval from the club, you can buy a place on Fisher Island. And that's why when we have contracts to buy property, we do have a contingency purchase upon approval of the club. Because sometimes, unfortunately, it happened to one of my sales. I saw that this very well-known or well-off gentleman cannot be declined. He was That way, to me, it was a catastrophe. So things do happen. So that's why right now, to protect our clients, we have this contingency upon club approval. Let them decide. So it's not that easy. Your record will be looked up with
Thoroughly,
FBI, and other resources. They will read about you, and only then your finances will kick in, to buy the place, to buy the club membership. We have a limitation as well, and then you become a proud member. I think Fisher Island Club is one of the best clubs in the world. We have amenities, world art amenities to offer on the island. Like I said, you don't have to leave the island. We have 8 restaurants. We have a golf club. We have 14 tennis courts. We have fantastic gym. I'm going there right after this wonderful podcast. We have security. We have more security than you can imagine. We don't lock the doors. I can sleep with the windows open. It's a privilege to feel safe.
While you work, a lot of people work their way to get there. You're not just there. And even if it's not all making money. There's other sides about making money and kind of as a person, so you get accepted. People think if you have $1 billion, all doors open. No, they don't.
No.
You can't even buy yourself, through some things, which is, I think that's great.
Yes, there is such a thing also. And when you become a stronger person, a more sophisticated person, you have to resonate with the values. What are your values? And stick to your core values. You cannot dilute, You cannot say, okay, I like that salt, I like this. No, I changed my mind, I like this now. That doesn't matter, So if you're constantly changing your values, it's just like a jellyfish, Who are you? So when your core values are solid, you become a more solid person, and you become more solid businessman, a businesswoman. That's something I really wanted to also say today. Choose your values. Choose, what you're doing with them. That's your building block.
That's amazing advice. Is there anything else that you think we missed you should touch upon before we close?
I just want to say that personal growth is everything. Nobody should have a ceiling, especially here. We are so lucky to feel the sunshine in Miami. We are so lucky to be around smart people. And every step of the way, you have an opportunity to grow. We have so many resources. There is just no excuse. Excuse is a very easy trap. You feel sorry for yourself. But guess what? Nobody cares except for you. So my advice, don't give up. Don't give up. Continue growing. And sometimes you grow little. And some people don't realize until you're so big, they say, whoa, how did you get there? And that happens. That happens a lot. And again, it's I'm the ambassador of Fisher Island. If anybody is interested in my beautiful island, Nataly Stuart is always there. I will always promote this most magical place for real estate. And I can answer the questions, of course, regarding a lifestyle. Because to me, Fisher Island, it's not just the real estate. It's the lifestyle that you're buying. And that would be my final words.
That's amazing. Tell people where they can find you or get a contact with you if they want to follow.
I have a website, yes, absolutely. I'm everywhere. So NatalyStuart.com, or I have Instagram, Socialite _Nataly. Nataly I spelled differently. Nataly, French version. They can, that's probably my biggest followership, is on Instagram. And I do answer DM myself, not somebody else. I will be more than happy to answer the questions, And like I said, even if it's something about my traveling, because as I was traveling, I was creating little stories, and I realized that people are interested. What is private jet traveling? What is hopping around the world, on one jet with National Geographic? I'm happy. I'm very open. I want to share my experiences.
That's amazing. I'm really happy and glad you came in and shared all this with us. And I really had a good time and enjoyed the conversation.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Hope we do this again in the future.
I hope so too. Thank you. Thank you.